There's no evidence of anything supernatural. Well, that's just not accurate. There are medically documented cases of people with demonic possession speaking in languages they don't know, for example, and people with near-death experiences getting information they never had access to.
Okay, medically documented cases of people with demonic possession sounds awesome. I would love to take a look at that, medical documentation. I get the feeling you're not going to provide any, are you? Fear not, we do have one source that was flashed on screen, a book by Richard Gallagher called Demonic Foes. So, okay, I bought the book. I only skimmed through a couple of chapters, but I did also watch a few of Dr. Gallagher's interviews. In the book, he talks about some of his experiences with people he believes were demonically possessed, including a woman he calls Julia. Evidence for demonic possession consists principally in people like Julia having special powers. One night, Dr. Gallagher heard his normally peaceful cats screeching and fighting with each other, and the next day he meets a woman he calls Julia, who says, "How'd you like those cats last night?" Weird, for sure, but not quite yet the medical documentation that we're seeking. So then, what other special powers did Julia have? Well, Dr. Gallagher writes in the Washington Post of how she knew things that she couldn't have known naturally, including exactly how his mother had died years ago. But also, get this, she could tell some people their secret weaknesses, such as undue pride. Okay, but how about this? Julia, during various exorcisms, was suddenly able to speak fluent Latin out of nowhere. We're not told what she said, of course, but it happened. And, if you can believe it, in one ceremony, she actually levitated out of her chair, literally floating in the air for half an hour. Atheists cannot explain that one. But we don't have to take Dr. Gallagher's word for this. Oh no. Actually, we can't, because he didn't see this himself. But we can just accept that the people who did see her levitate and told him about it were super trustworthy. We'll just have to take his word about somebody else's word. That's not to say that I can prove she wasn't possessed, or that Dr. Gallagher's priests were mistaken or lying, but this book, which is the only citation Redeemed Zuma provided, hardly fulfills my evidential expectations. But here's the thing, even if you could provide some kind of actual medical evidence for demonic possession, didn't you literally just say that science can never prove anything supernatural? Maybe you just think this wouldn't count as scientific evidence, but if there can't be any scientific documentation of demonic possession, then what kind of evidence are you talking about here? Anecdotes? Testimony? It's just not doing it for me.
All right, so what Alex is doing here is he's bringing up the kind of blind spot that it seems like this other individual on this channel in the video that Alex O'Connor was correcting. It seems there to be a contradiction, because at one end, he's saying that we do not believe in science, right? That being a theist, but then he will use scientific evidence to apparently prove that there was some type of demonic activity happening within a lady. So Alex was just bringing that contradiction up to the surface. Now, I am a Christian, and I do believe in demonic possession. I believe it's real, and I have actually seen it happen in close loved ones that I actually know. And like I said, I'm close to. I love these people. Now, I'll just give you an example of one encounter that I personally had as a kid. I wasn't really close to this person, but I was closer to their sister. And what happens was, I was a little kid. I was probably around 8 years old or so. And I'm sitting on the couch, and I got my legs tucked up, right? I got my legs just chilling, and I'm watching my mom's praying over this girl, and also one of my mom's friends. And she starts to manifest, right? And she's just going crazy. Her hair's all over her face, right? And what happens is, I'm sitting across from her like this, but she's facing over here, okay? She's facing this way, just going crazy in the chair, and then she just stops. Her hair's over her face, she stops going crazy. And then remember, I'm sitting right over there. She just goes like this. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but I wasn't scared as a kid, because I was used to stuff like that, and I just knew the authority that I have, and if anything, it just confirms the authority that the enemy knew I was always going to walk in, even from a young age. Because I'm like, why do you hate me? That's what I'm thinking, but he just knew the authority that I was always going to walk in and mess that dude up. But now, a very important thing that I want to say is that a naturalistic interpretation of that event would say maybe she had split personality, or maybe she was schizophrenic. But what the Bible shows is that there are some naturalistic things that you can measure, and that's the side effect of something spiritual that's actually going on. And the reason that I say we can both look at the naturalistic explanation and the spiritual explanation is because the spiritual side, Jesus' authority to exercise authority over demons, this shows that Jesus saw through the naturalistic side effects of what was actually going on, right? The things that you can measure with your eyes, like demonic possession, the man that's cutting himself. God knew there was a spiritual situation going on, and the Lord brought freedom. And again, I believe it's Acts 19. There's many individuals that were healed, and they had sicknesses leave their body, and the Bible actually says that it was a sickness brought upon them because they had demons attracted to them. So yes, we can measure certain things on a naturalistic explanation, but obviously the naturalistic explanation leaves out the interpretation for there being a spiritual cause for the side effect. So what I like to do is try to interpret my subjective personal experiences with this stuff from an objective point of view, that being the objective truth of what we see Jesus doing in the New Testament, the authority and the credibility of the New Testament, also the authority of the accumulative case for Christianity. Outside of that, we have the fine-tuning argument. That means anything that began to exist must have had a cause. And we can get to the historicity of Jesus Christ as being the one that created everything, right? So that's something objective outside of my personal experience that can help explain some of my personal experiences. And again, I said, these were some very close people to me, and I knew who they were, right? Could it have been schizophrenia? Potentially. So yes, I understand a lot of the naturalistic interpretation, but that's coming off of a worldview that doesn't allow space for the spiritual explanation. I mean, again, something outside of space, time, matter did the creating, which says that something spaceless, timeless, and immaterial did that creating. And we're not just filling in the God of the gaps, rather we have intelligent design probabilities that are more credible that this was a spiritual God in spirit and nature, right, that created this world, which shows there is something, or at least points that there is something going on deeper than any naturalistic world can explain. We have a God that is outside of this world and also came into this historical timeline to give us the credibility to understand how to have authority over the main problem in this world, which is the perversion and manipulation of Satan. So we need to walk in that authority. And also, let's listen to other worldviews, that being the naturalistic interpretations of certain things. Not that it takes away credibility to our faith. Rather, we want to understand what both sides of the arguments are saying so we can really kind of just get into each other's minds and understand how to witness or how to really think more critically and deeper. And when I say get into the minds of other worldviews, I'm not saying to adopt their worldviews. All I'm saying is just try to understand where they're coming from. That is the best way that you can build connection, if you actually understand what they're trying to say. So let's do our best to eliminate as much as bias as we possibly can, that being atheism, that being Christians, and let's seek the truth of Jesus Christ. With that being said, have a blessed day.